friends, welcome to Tag Tuesday. It has been the hottest minute since I've done a Tag Tuesday video. In fact, the last one I uploaded was February 2018, so over a year at this point. And they were kind of the first things I started doing when I started making YouTube videos more regularly. But I believe even back then I said they were never going to be a series. It was just coincidental that I uploaded it on a Tuesday and I called it Tag Tuesday. That was when I was very creative with the the names of my videos. But I ended up doing about 25 videos before I stopped, and there was no real reason for stopping. I think I just moved on to other things. I think also changing the tags had a little something to do with it, because the first lot I got were from like an eBay seller, and it was not a company that sold shipping supplies or anything. It was just a random eBay seller that had a whole bunch of tags that they were getting rid of. And even then I tried to I tried to source where those tags had originally come from, and I couldn't get that information. So I eventually purchased different tags, but they were very, very different. The mediums didn't perform on them the same way, and whilst I could still use a variety of different mediums, it was a bit more flimsy, and I really couldn't get the watercolor effects that I was used to on the tags, and I think it really did deter me a little bit from working on them more regularly, because I have so many. I used to have so many tags that I would just put into journals, a nice little extra little bit to put a bit of journaling on there and just stick it in, and make nice little flip tabs in my journals. There were no real reasons for using tags to work on other than they were a nice small size. And when I first got into mixed media arts and crafts, and I was watching all those CHA videos back in the day, all the Ranger designers were demoing on tags, and I thought it was so bizarre, because why would anyone use a shipping tag? And so that was why I eventually started working on them, and I found that they really were a cute little way to work, especially because they're kind of inexpensive. If you made a mistake, you could just toss it, but they were really small surface area, so you didn't have to complete a whole A5 spread. You didn't have to do a big page in your Dilutions journal all of a sudden. And this was also back at the time when I was a bit more conservative with how many journals I would use. Conservative in the sense that I probably had about 12, not 30. But it was just, I think for a mix of different reasons, I started it, and then for a mix of different reasons, I stopped it. But in any case, I do want to say this was just because I found some shipping tags near my collage box, and I felt a little nostalgic. I'm not bringing this back. It's not going to be every Tuesday or anything. As it is, I'm uploading this on a Friday, and I'm aware of that. So, welcome to my life. It's already a bit unusual. But yeah, I felt nostalgic, so I decided to grab some out. I got 5 and just decided to create some backgrounds first, and I knew I was going to stamp on top of them, but I wanted to just create a bunch of different backgrounds with some matte acrylic paint and kind of work on top of that in whatever way I felt might be effective. And the stamp set I'm using is my concept stamp set. There have been a few videos out on my channel recently, full tutorials on how to create different pieces with that concept stamp set. If you want to know more about that, you can go and watch those videos, and I kind of explain how they came to be and what to do with them, and there'll be a few more that just sporadically appear on the channel as a part of that series, just to help you get going with them. From what I've seen, to be honest, you probably don't need the videos because people have been doing such incredible things with them already, and been playing with them in ways that I would never even imagine to do myself, which is always the most exciting thing for me to see, as someone that puts them together, because I've got a certain part of my imagination that kicks in, and I think, oh, you could do this, you could do that, you could do this, but then there's all of your imagination that comes into it and shows me things that I've never thought of before. So that's a really satisfying thing to see as a product designer. But from what I have seen, you've all managed to do incredibly well without the videos. Not to say that I'm going to stop, but I'm just saying you really don't need them. They're just there for you if you want to try something specific, pick up a few new techniques, or use a certain medium with them. And yeah, from what I've seen, you've been having a great time with them. I guess all I'll say about the stamp set in this video is that I've been having a lot of emails, questions, wherever people can get a hold of me, they have been getting a hold of me, and I have to apologize if it took me a hot minute to respond to your messages. But these stamp sets are already being manufactured and coming back to me for another restock. I did order a bunch extra than I thought I would need before, but as it is, we did have to restock them, and so I want to thank you for that. But they will be around in the shop in about a week or so from this video going up. I don't have a specific date, but as with every, restock, I'll say it on my Insta story. I like the Insta stories because they disappear after 24 hours, and I feel like it's not, my whole Instagram feed just doesn't flood you with advertising or marketing pitches, and I don't really want to put it in my Facebook group because I feel like everyone gets, sharing so many beautiful things. I don't like to put ads up in there for myself. I mean, I'm very shameless about it. Like, it doesn't make me feel bad, but I don't want to, lay that on all of you, because I think the Insta story is a great way to check up on that. And, it's a nice little flash of an announcement. Sometimes I don't even make them at all. I will just admit that to you right now. There have been a few times when I just thought, let fate decide, and I've just put a little restock up in the store for absolutely no reason other than to, I have reserve stock. Sometimes I don't list every single item, the whole amount that I have, just in case I need to replace orders or something goes wrong. I have spares to work with. And usually when I go and put that stock up in the store, like once all the orders are shipped out, everything's arrived, there's no problems, and I have a few left over, if it says sold out, I might just put a few extra up there, and it will become available for, however long that's there. And that's pretty funny actually too, because sometimes I notice that those things really do, they stay there for a couple of days before they go. So I don't want to scare you into thinking that you have to stalk the store to be able to get something. But I do try my best to restock it as conservatively as I can. I make sure to order, as many as I think is enough. You always confuse me because there is, I have a certain amount that I think is enough always, and it never really is, but that number keeps growing, which is a great problem to have. I do feel terrible when people miss out, but most of this manufacturing now is not done specifically by me. All I really have to do is do the purchase order, and I decide to do that whenever I know that the finances are right for the business. Wow, this is getting really boring to talk about that. But I guess if you were curious to know as to why I don't just keep everything stocked all the time, I'm still independent. I'm still 100% independent, and all of the sale orders, like all of the purchase orders, have to be paid in full when I get them. So sometimes I'll do a pre-order, and that will give me a good estimation as to how many people do really want to receive that product immediately, and then I'll be able to fill all of those orders immediately, which is great. It's a bit of an extra work to do, but at least I feel like that way most people that really do want it and have heard about it do get a chance to grab it. So that's why this time this kind of shocked me, because I did a big pre-order for this one, and I ordered double, I think, what the pre-order was, which is, it was an amount that I never really would have ordered, but I just assumed, what, they'll be in the store, I can keep them up there, I'll just keep shipping them out every week, and, we'll have a nice little stock to last me a while, but they didn't last. I don't know what happened, I don't know why they didn't last, but nonetheless, I ordered them straight away, and they've just been being made, and they'll be shipped to me very, very soon. And as soon as they are, I'll put all of the listings back up. So if you are super curious to know where they are, they're still in the Etsy store. There's still the same link, and that is still the only place that you can grab them. But just be sure to check my Instagram. It's a link down below in the description box, and you'll be able to see whenever I post the announcement up there. And if they do run out, I'll restock them. Some things I don't. Some things, like washi tapes, I like to restock in a big batch, and so I do those less often. But for the stamp sets, I think I've been pretty good about having them available for the most part. I even brought back an old set. I discontinued the Charmed I'm Sure set, but when I was making this purchase order, I decided to restock all of the stamp sets I'd done before. Even the 2x6 stamp set, the She's Three-Faced back from Playtest Patreon. I put that in there as well. So thank you for being around, and thanks for shopping. You've kept Steve very busy lately. I say Steve because I did teach him how to manage Etsy. So I think from now on, if you are in the store and you're asking questions, or if you've got little notes in your orders, Steve will be the ones reading them. I'm still around, like I still check on everything. Because one of the first times we were shipping, I have to tell you this funny story. Don't tell Steve I told you. But he packed about 6 orders, and then he looked at me and said, which black and white washi tape is which? Because I don't know the difference between sketchbook, brushstroke, and pitter pattern. And I was like, how many orders have you packed before you asked that question? Yeah, I think it was a simple mistake. Sometimes it can be really tricky to figure it all out, especially once there's a lot of products going on. And even I've made mistakes before. I think the only person that's never really made a mistake is Stella, to be honest. My mum had made a mistake. When she was over here on her holiday, she wanted, I don't know why, but she wanted to get involved and pack some orders. But she was having trouble following along some of those steps. I've made a bunch of mistakes before. Steve's made some mistakes before. Stella's been the only one that hasn't really done that. I don't know if it's because her nails are so long. She takes a little longer to get things organized. Maybe she's paying more attention. I don't know. Or she's just probably more capable than all of us. But yeah, anyway, so I won't bore you with any more Etsy talk, but that is there for you. I know there were a bunch of questions on that before, and I just want you to know I'm doing my best to get those to you as quickly as possible and to make sure that they're available for you. And in the coming months, I will have new products going up into the store, and I'm super excited about that as well. The stamp sets are really funny, actually. I love that I said I would stop talking about it, but here I go. Just go off. The stamp sets are pretty funny because I still don't consider myself much of a stamper. Like, I don't know what my purpose for stamping is other than to use them as blueprints for illustration. And even though I love that, that's kind of an obscure way to market stamps because a lot of traditional stampers don't necessarily see that as something that they might want to do, which is fine. I'm not trying to convert anyone at all. I think it's a really, really fun way to play and be a bit more expressive about it. But those types of stamp sets are interesting to design and come up with ideas for, or concepts, pardon the pun, because I kind of have to figure out, what is my end goal there? What do I really want to be doing? And how would a stamp aid in me doing that? And I feel like at this point I've done most of what I want to do. I think I'd just be reiterating different versions of that. So like a part of me wanted to put 4 new brushstroke ladies out there, like the Unbothered set, the original set that I first came out with. I wanted to create 4 new faces, those little face bust head things. And there's always the desire to make more and to do more and to make a different product. I think that's the benefit of being independent. It's a double-edged sword. You do have to manage a lot and you do have to be really careful about the decisions you make, but at the same time you have complete freedom to do whatever you feel like doing whenever you feel like doing it, providing you could purchase the initial order. But even then with pre-orders, things become a lot more manageable at that point. So I do have ideas for newer stamp sets, but they're kind of the thing that I put off, to the last option as far as designing new products. Like, I'd always kind of rather put out a washi tape than a new stamp set, and I think it all comes down to the fact that a lot of what I design is selfishly just for myself. Like, I want to be using it, and it fills a need that I have. And eventually I feel like, once I've used it and I've become comfortable with it, or I've got ideas for it, I can share that with you. And I think that's maybe what people look at and think, oh yeah, I'd like to have a go at that as well. But I've never been the type of designer to jump on a trend. I've never been the type of designer to just make something just for the sake of it. I've kind of always made things that I've wanted to use very specifically. And I think that keeps me from oversaturating my own shop with things that I don't completely love or enjoy, which, I guess that's its own topic for another day. But if you're curious to know how some of that thought process worked in my head, that's kind of how it is. I really enjoyed Patreon actually last year, Playtest Patreon, and it will come back this year in the same way, in that we get to create products for the Happy Mailer tier, because that was really interesting because I knew that those products would eventually be a part of the experience in some way. Like some of the fragments, the die cuts, came from the sketch flicks that I did exclusively for Playtest Patreon. And then there were the stamp sets, the She's Three-Faced, and when we got to like use those together in some art journaling videos. I think that was also really fun because it wasn't just creating a product so I could use it and then list it in the store. There was also like a video kind of series, or like a video ideas that were going with it. So yeah, I think that is the kind of the way that I do like to approach it. I never anticipated making this specific stamp set a stamp set, so it's really got me questioning everything I know, to be honest. Because if this one's been doing so well, I don't know why I never considered making it a real thing. I was just at the time very wrapped up in a lot of extra stuff, trying to figure it all out, and I didn't think I would have the I didn't think I would even have the means at that point to make it its own full product. It was just designed out of necessity as something to demo at Creativation. And it wasn't until I'd fully had all of that play with it, you know, making the demo pieces for the show, demoing it at the show and getting people's live feedback. That was really different for me because the only person that can ever give me feedback in these other processes, like if I'm designing a washi tape, the only person that ever really sees it is Steve before I decide to purchase it. And Steve's really not into this world, which I think gives it like a slight advantage because I think that opinion is a lot more unbiased. But at the same time, it's very tricky to know if it's going to be something worthwhile, you know, putting in the shop. I think it all is, because if I want to use it, I think maybe there's someone else out there that wants to use it. But things like the Feline My Oats washi tape, does anyone remember that? With my actual cats on it, like Bianca and Oliver on the washi tape. That was so ridiculously just for myself. And, you know, I ordered a minimum. Did I order a minimum on that? I'm not quite sure. You don't need to know the details on that. But what I'm saying is that was something I knew I wanted to do. And I have to purchase so many of them anyway, just as minimum order quantities. I decided to put them in the store, but I didn't think anyone would actually enjoy that. But then I see them popping up in people's planners, and I see Bianca, you know, sleeping on the side of someone's journal page, and it just cracks me up. But I guess all of that to say, you never really know, or you can never really count on what people want to play with or want to use. And I don't think that's a way that I've ever tried to design, because if I really got caught up in that, I probably would be doing like cutesy little stamp sets with numbers and llamas on them or something, you know, like anything trend based. And that really gets confusing for me, because I'm not good at following all the trends. I do love them. I'm not going to say I don't. I definitely appreciate it and admire it. And as someone with stage 20 FOMO, I find myself engaging with a lot of trends. But as something that I would sell, it usually has to be something that I've had a lot of fun with. Because I think anyone would kind of do it that way. I assume most people want to put their name on something that they really, really love, or they're really, really sure of, or that brings them a lot of joy and happiness. I don't know if you would want to put your name on something that doesn't do that. Unless it may do a lot of money, I guess. I don't know. But that's not the reality of an independent business most of the time. I don't think anyone really ever started designing a washi tape and selling it on Etsy to become a billionaire. I don't know. I don't know if that was anyone's truth, but I don't think that would be something you do. So, wow, this conversation really turned into just a random conversation about the design process. Any case, I just want to say, if you are looking to design things, I think you should definitely do it if you have a passion for it. Unfortunately, I've stopped disclosing a lot of my manufacturing partners' information, so I wouldn't be the best person for you to ask, and I only did that for a personal reason, just because I felt a little guilty that I was sending a lot of people to my manufacturing partners that wouldn't become clients, and I felt bad about that. So I will give you some advice. Google is a great resource, and I did fully Google for 3 weeks before I found my first manufacturing partner. So it is 100% doable, and I think you should definitely chase down those dreams if you want to. We have the means in this day and age, and I think it is. I think it's a wonderful thing that we get to be independent in that and really forge a way for ourselves and learn something new and fun and exciting. They're also great Christmas presents. Could you imagine giving your whole family a washi tape of your cats for Christmas? I didn't part with any of mine, but I'm considering it for this year. I'm not sure. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the Tag Tuesday, the little throwback to Tag Tuesday. I love the tags that I came up with. Some of them are already in my journals and I'm living for them. I'll see you on YouTube next week again for another video. Until then, have a great time in your studio or at your desk or wherever you can find a pencil and a piece of paper. Bye. Free to go left or right. I'm free.